What if you and I unify in you and I DY? What if you and I unify in you and I DY? What if you and I unify?
Yo, what's going on, people? You're watching the Unity Sessions live on TLDTV. We're joined today by special guest Kapes, A.Witness. How you doing, my brother?
I'm good, man. I'm glad to be here. I'm good.
Yeah, for lockdown mode, do you want to explain what's going on in the background?
Yeah, so you'll have to excuse the superhero theme. I'm actually in my son's bedroom because there's things going on at my house at the minute. So this is the free room. So
That's how it goes. Yeah, because they need to know, man. Christian rap, it's not, I know in the kind of rap scene, a lot of guys, they hide their wives, they hide their families to try to portray this mad single image. But that's what it is, man. That's how it is. Yeah, our family and such are never too far away in the CHH scene, I like to think. So it's all good, man. So yeah, bro, tell us a little bit about yourself. What city you from?
So I'm from Birmingham, and as you say, part of the CHH scene, Christian hip hop. Been a rapper for a lot longer than I've actually been a Christian. I was involved in secular music for a long time, and then roughly 5, nearly 6 years ago, became a born again Christian, and that's when I switched.
Nice, man. How would you say the church itself is doing in Birmingham?
At the minute, you know what? It's good because in most cases, we're not able to get together in person because of the lockdown.
Yeah.
So we are basically getting together through Zoom and things like that. But the reason why I say that's good is because I think there's been more people logging in that probably wouldn't have actually gone to a building themselves. Like they
Yes.
probably would have been put off by that. But because they can do it from the comfort of their own home there's been people that have logged in and, thought, let me see what this is about. And I think at a time like this, there's a lot of fear out there. And I think generally the church, we're not too scared. Like God hasn't given us a spirit of fear. So maybe that's what they're looking at. They're looking at uncertain times when they look at the news and stuff. Maybe they have some Christian friends that aren't really shaken. And,
Yeah,
I feel like it's a good opportunity for people to really see what this is all about.
for sure, man. All things working together, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Now, what about like the CHH scene? How's the Christian hip hop scene up there?
I mean, I wouldn't say there's a massive scene for it. I would say there's a handful of people that I'm aware of that are representing Christ in their music, and that sort of goes from people that they're Christians who rap as opposed to Christian rappers, you know what I mean? And you hear those references in the music, but it's not like
Yeah.
a very in your face kind of thing. And then you've got people that are more on the kind of, the music is the way of preaching the gospel, So I wouldn't say there's a major scene. There's a handful of other artists that I know about personally.
Yeah. Anyone you'd recommend to say we should look out for?
Yeah, I mean, someone that I work with myself would be the Praying Mantis. There's Michael Bassan. There is a guy called K Chambers that I'm aware of, and Solomon and D7. I know D7 is actually from London. Was Solomon. I think he goes by the name King Solo now. He's from Birmingham. So that's basically the artists that I'm aware of, and they all do their thing and they all bring their own thing to it. You know what I mean? So yeah, by all means, check them all out.
Yeah, because it's been an interesting coming from a UK perspective, kind of observing Birmingham. Because like I'd say 10 years ago, it wasn't even really like a thing musically, but now, like Manchester or Birmingham, I'd say both of those places have established themselves on the UK music scene. What would you put that down to?
Birmingham has always been about its music. And I did actually live in Manchester briefly for about a year, and I can say that they're really about their music scene as well. I mean, but the thing is, I think London has so much shine on it. Everybody's aware of the scene in London. And I think that's where a lot of the opportunities are. So I feel like other cities, not just Birmingham and Manchester, but all over the UK, I think people have kind of been slept on to a degree. But nowadays, you have the different avenues of putting music out yourself. You know, you can do it from YouTube,
Yeah.
SoundCloud, whatever your, you know, main thing is that you put your music on. You know, you're able to build your own platform more these days. So I don't think it was a case of not so much just being slept on, but people outside of our own cities wasn't really aware of what was going on, and now people are more able to put their stuff out. So one more artist to check out from Birmingham is Goonie. He's a young guy, and he spits on like sort of grime, trap, like, you know, these kind of genres, but he's fully rapping by someone I would definitely recommend people checking out, Goonie.
Yeah, his thing is crazy when I've heard him, because he's still got like the full package as well. I think one of the things that you do well, that I think a lot of people can kind of neglect. I don't want it to be like a negative thing, but within the CHH scene, I think a lot of people get it up to the making music stage, but not necessarily the marketing and all that kind of stage. And Goonie for sure, like I'm trying to think, like he's young, right? And for about 5 years, I've been seeing this guy sing all over the place. Like, so he does well from that perspective. And I think that's a lesson that you can teach and that he can teach, in that the kind of the music making part is actually a small part of being a rapper, I'd say, at this stage. Do you want to speak on that in terms of how you feel in terms of that progression? Anything you've learned from when you started putting out music?
Yeah, definitely. So I was always the kind of artist where I really didn't really want to be in the limelight too much. I would rather just let the music speak for itself. Didn't really care too much about having a social media presence or, you know, any kind of gimmicks or whatever. I just wasn't interested in. But as I've progressed in the music, I used to kind of make music that was very lyrical, and it was kind of just like bars, you know. And two things I found was when you go performing, that's actually strenuous to do. Like, you don't have any even your hooks, just bars. So that's actually really strenuous to do on
Yeah,
stage. And also just the general listener these days, I don't really feel like they've got the attention span for that a lot of the time. You know, people want to hear
yeah,
something a little more melodic, a little bit more catchy. So something that I've worked on is building a bridge between having, say, like a lyrical verse and then like quite a melodic, catchy hook. You know, so just trying to break it up a little bit, be a bit more versatile with the beats. I stopped really using so much old school beats, you know, trying to switch it up and be a bit more versatile. And in terms of like online presence and stuff, I've found that Instagram is actually very useful in terms of getting music out, you know, just quick videos. I think these days we're in the Instagram, TikTok generation where people like these little short videos. You know, I used to put things off and wait till I'd have this professional music videos to put out and stuff like that. But what I've actually found is that stuff doesn't even move as well as just something that was a 1 minute video that you filmed on your phone,
yeah,
Instagram or YouTube real quick. That actually is more catered to people's attention span and what people are really more interested in these days. So I would say don't waste time trying to have the most polished, finished product. Just like you said about Goonie, you always see him, you know, just be present with what you do have. You know, if you have a phone that can shoot a video, it doesn't matter if it's basic, as long as the beat's playing and you can spit bars. You have YouTube to put it on, you have Instagram. Just utilize what we've got, because, you know, there's really no point waiting all this time to put out a product
yeah.
that, you know, people are probably not going to pay as much attention to as they would a 1 minute clip.
Yeah, yeah, for real, man. Nowadays, if you're holding someone's attention for 4 minutes, you're doing amazing. With the 4 minutes is like a good at least like 8 or 9 TikTok videos they could have watched in that time, probably more. So yeah, the game has changed for sure, man. And so, like, what attracted you to the music in the first place? 10 years old you were when you first started rapping, yeah? What got you
Yeah,
into it?
I was like 10, turning 11. What attracted me to it really was like just like expressing myself, really. You know what I mean? Like when I was younger, you know, obviously years and years before I became a Christian, the main artist that inspired me was Tupac. Like I would listen to Tupac all day long. And
Mm,
the thing about that was it was just like, it wasn't as like braggadocious as other hip hop. It was more real. It was more from the heart. It was good or bad. It was whatever he was feeling, you know. So it was just that self expression really. And then I think that's why as I progressed in the music and started doing it myself, I wasn't too focused on image or those kind of things. It was more just like, or like fads, like jumping on bandwagons, what's popular now. Like I didn't really care about that. It was just about self expression. So that's really what I got into it for.
Yeah. Do you feel like you grew out of Tupac?
I wouldn't say that I grew out of him as an artist. I just think that when I became a Christian, the world looked different to me. Do you know what I mean? So it was like, I didn't really listen to too much secular music after that. It was more just like, the funny thing is, right, I was born again at 27. I've been rapping since I was 10. And in that 17 years, I'd never really lost passion for the music. I was always dreaming about, you know, making music or out doing it.
Yeah.
And at that point, I had actually lost passion. Like, I think I had a lot of highs and lows with it. I got some great opportunities to do some cool things, but I would never really get to where I wanted to be with it. And I was beginning to lose passion, you know, and then in that kind of, in the, you know, the space that it took me to really learn about Christ and become a Christian, I've read the parable of the talents, and then it was like the penny dropped, you know. It was like I understood that everything I'd done beforehand was really just sharpening the sword for how I should really be using the gift. And then the passion came back, you know, probably 10 times stronger, because I realized what I should be doing with it is, rather than glorify myself, you know, I should use the gift to glorify the gift giver. So it's not like I grew out of any particular type of music, but you know what it is when you become a Christian, you're a new creation. The world just doesn't look the same to you anymore. You see it through a different lens. So that just, you know, I wanted music that would edify my own spiritual growth and stuff like that.
Yeah, that makes sense, man. Because I'm thinking my own journey, like for many, many years, he was my favorite artist as well. I studied him. I learned vocabulary from him. It's funny, like I literally, I can almost remember the day I was getting off the train, as I was listening to its Greatest Hits album, and then Hit 'Em Up came on, and I was like, yeah, like yeah, and then it just became so uncomfortable as a song that I'd listened to so many times before, but I couldn't digest it anymore. And no, funnily, a lot of people, I mean, I guess it's just that legendary status. A lot of people use their favorite artist, you know. So it's always interesting getting the Christian perspective on what to do with him, you know. Yeah, you seem like you
Yeah,
you still have a foot in. I could almost guarantee that you went through a hardcore 90s phase at some point in your life. Is that right?
yeah, definitely. I mean, I was born
Yeah.
like, I was born late 80s, you know, so I came up.
Okay.
I'm older than I look, you know what I'm saying? So I actually came up with that music. So the 90s and the early 2000s was kind of the era that I was like present for, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
for a long time, I didn't really venture past that, you know. Like I say, I was definitely not on any kind of bandwagons and stuff like that. And it was actually when I started listening to more Christian music that I really started my, you know, the style that I appreciated began to change. You know, that's when I started listening to more kind of different beats and stuff. Because yeah, I was kind of stuck in my ways for a long time, and I was really heavily into that 90s sound. And I just feel like I tried to kind of recreate that a lot when I used to be rapping for the world and stuff. And I just don't know point in that in doing that anymore. It's cool. It had its time, but now if you're really trying to reach people now, there's no point trying to recapture the past too much, you know.
Yeah, because yeah, I definitely, I think I can feel it in the essence, just because I think what I pick up on when listening to you and a few others is the value of the lyrical content is still there. Whereas I feel like I can hear when someone's just kind of like bopping along to something, whereas with you, I feel like you value your lyrics. If you tell us a little bit about the Sunlight project, and kind of what was the thinking and the concept behind it? Because you spell sunlight is a bit of a play on words, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's called Sunlight, SON, basically just to reflect the sun's light. You know, that's really what it's about. On the cover, I'm with my sons, and there's the sunlight in the background. You know, that was a picture that had already been taken by my brother a few years ago, and it kind of just fell together like that. You know, the title matched the picture, but the title is really talking about just reflecting the sun's light, you know, as in Jesus. So the project, I tried to cover a few different grounds with it. You know, there's like personal testimony in there. There's like tracks that basically are just meant to make you feel good as a believer. There's tracks that are really kind of like for the purpose of evangelism. You know, like tracks like Big Questions. I'm talking about a lot of scientific facts that are in the Bible that people wouldn't really be aware of. I definitely wasn't aware of that kind of stuff, you know, years ago. But all of that kind of stuff was part of my journey to faith. So any opportunity that I get to share that stuff, I try to do that. But I just try to make the project versatile in terms of beats. You do have the old school sound in there. You've also got a bit of a more modern upbeat kind of just like tracks like Feeling Lit. It's really meant to make you feel good, you know what I mean? But
Yeah, the
everything is
Job
meant to
tune
be
was
like,
hard as well, man. That Job
which
song
one?
as well that
Job,
you
like
got.
Job.
Yeah, like Job. That
Yeah.
was
So that's kind of more yeah. Yeah, so again, yeah, so there's that vibe to it as well. That's a little bit more hard hitting. You got that kind of trap beat going on. Letting people know that this walk's not always easy, you know what I mean? There are times where we feel like we're being like sort of beaten down, but it's just letting people know, like encouraging them to get up, you know what I mean? It's not about how many times you get knocked down, it's about if you can get up. So
yeah.
I think that the project is aimed at believers to encourage them in their walk, but it's also aimed at people that are not familiar with the faith, and there's little seeds in there that I hope will actually encourage them to look into it a bit more.
Yeah, that's something I wanted to ask you about for sure, because I'd say it's a lot more potent than a lot of albums, even in the CHH scene, just in terms of how evangelical it actually is. Sometimes I think you know, not judgment of right or wrong, but I think people package it to kind of appease both. Whereas yours, it just seems unashamed gospel. Here it is. How do you get out of the CHH box and put it in front of those who haven't heard the gospel? Do you have a kind of a strategy or thinking related to that?
You know, there was a time when I thought maybe I should be speaking in parables and kind of Trojan horse the gospel, you know, kind of sneak it in and stuff. And I know a lot of people do that, but I never ended up doing that method because, you know, that phrase like if you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. If you teach a man to fish, like that phrase, I feel like it's a bit like that. If I just put like the Christian morals in the music, then I'm like giving a man a fish, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not really trying to do that. I'm trying to point them to the source so that they don't have to learn anything from me, you know what I mean? They can learn it straight from God himself. So, and you know, I don't know how long I've got on this earth. I don't know how long the listener has. We don't know how long this earth age will be. You know, I'm not saying any of this stuff's about to end, but I'm just saying why waste time? Like other people do a great job of putting it across in a subtle way, but for me, I'm just trying to be like a signpost. And the way I really get it out of the Christian bracket and put it in front of them is just by putting it in front of them. You know, love it or hate it, and most of them are gonna hate it to begin with. I just put it out. I just put it out to them. You know, on my Facebook, for example, I have a lot of people that are not believers, and I'm just constantly posting this stuff all the time. I know they're looking at it, rolling their eyes. I know it actually angers some, you know. Well, so what? Like, that doesn't really bother me. Some of them will verbally attack me for it. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Jesus said we would be hated, and it's
Yeah.
not me that's going to save anyone. I just have to put the seeds out. And you know, God is the only one that can change somebody's heart. So if he uses something that I put out to do that, then that's a blessing for the kingdom. You know what I'm saying? So it's not on me to change anyone's mind. I just have to tell my story, and just put it out, as you say, unapologetically, unashamed. Just represent like that. You know, that's what I see.
Nice, man. And in terms of your journey, so you became a Christian in 2015?
Yeah, 2015.
Yeah. So what was your journey and pathway to Christ?
So there's the spiritual and emotional side of it, which, you know, is a very personal one. You know, I can share that with people, and it might reach people, but there was also like a logical and evidence-based side to it, which I do love to share with people, because I feel like that's like something tangible that they can look at for themselves, that they can weigh up for themselves. So what it was, I actually was this person that was saying Jesus doesn't exist, the Bible is plagiarized, all the stories are stolen from older mythology. You know, I was on that zeitgeist tip, you know.
Yeah.
I was the person that was preaching that hard, you know, and then I was actually trying to prove those points when I actually made a 180, because the first thing I did, I'd watched that zeitgeist, you know, documentary, and I believed it on face value because it sounded like it was well put together and stuff. So I believed it on face value for like a few years. I did actually believe in God. I had spiritual beliefs, but I'd ruled out Christianity. When I was trying to prove that to someone, the first thing I did was look at all of those mythologies that I spoke about that are supposed to be the same as the Jesus story. I read every single one of them. They weren't the same. So that was the first, like, you know, thing, like these stories are not the same in any way. So then I thought, well, did this Jesus guy really live? So I started researching the historical evidence for Christ, come to see that there's a lot of evidence for Christ outside of the Bible. We know that he lived. We know that he died on the cross.
Yeah.
Every historian agrees that he, you know. So I thought, well, he lived, he died on the cross. None of that really matters if he didn't rise from the dead. I'm starting to think maybe he was this guy that was some wise teacher or something. So then I actually prayed. I said, God, if this Jesus guy is someone to you that I need to know about, then I want you to show me if he rose from the dead. And then that night, I actually just randomly saw a documentary on the burial cloth of Christ, the Shroud of Turin, which has got like quite a supernatural image on there of like a crucified man. It's got real human blood on there. And it's been quite a mysterious artifact throughout history. It's the most scientifically studied artifact. The image on it, we can't produce it today with our greatest technology. You know, like there's nothing that exists that could actually replicate that. So, you know, when I seen this thing, it was like being punched in the face, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? It's like I asked for this, and now it's being shown to me. But I knew that I would want to share that with people, and I knew that people was gonna have criticisms to it and have questions about it. So I actually studied that. You know, so that was the beginning of me actually accepting Christ and learning the truth about Christ, which created a different type of evidence, which was just the evidence within self, really, like the transformation that I had. But I actually started studying that a lot, like, you know, the evidence-based stuff, and then I share that as much as possible. And I actually put out a song called Shroud of Turin that has a video, which I love to share that. If all of my music got deleted, but that one song and video was there, I would be happy, because I know I can still spread that message with that one video, you know.
Yeah, it's good to hear, because I think for a lot of people, when they say faith, they're kind of talking about something like spooky or something weird, and essentially something that feels illogical. Whereas I don't feel there's anything about Christianity or about faith in God that is illogical. I think it's quite the opposite. When we get verses like the heavens declare his glory and things like that, it's like, look, it's like, do you know what I mean? Someone created that type thing. Whereas we sometimes get these weird supernatural vibes, don't we? Where it's like, yeah, you don't have to kind of fall from a plane and land on top of a church to have like a moment where you're like, oh, okay. Like, you know, yeah.
I mean, there was, like I say, there was two sides to it. You know, I always had faith. I'd always prayed from young, and I'd witnessed God move as a result of prayer. You know, there's miracles that I've seen. you know. But my thing is, I can tell people about miracles and they can just think I'm delusional, they can think I'm crazy, they can think I'm making it up, you know. And um, there is that side of it. People could think that, but then there is a very logical side of it as well. I mean, you know, the universe cannot make itself. You know what I mean? It's like, and aside from like the actual evidence directly about Jesus, I started looking into other things about the Bible. Like there's like one scientist counted like over 200 scientific facts in the Bible that were written like 3,500 years before mankind discovered them. Things like air has weight, the universe is expanding, the earth is spherical, it's has free float in space, it's not balanced on anything. You know, things that at the time that these Bible authors would have been writing this stuff, there was no way of this kind of stuff. You know, we only know a lot of this stuff now in recent years. So, but it all matches up. So I love this stuff because there was a time where even though I had faith in God and I definitely believed in the spiritual aspect of things, for you to tell me there's one book, there's one way, you know, you would have to show me something pretty solid to back that up, you know, because that's just not how I saw things back then. But I also wasn't aware about all of this stuff.
Yeah, I can imagine, man. How was the transition for you then from going from, because I'm assuming that you're in kind of the secular music scene as well. Yeah, so
Yeah,
how did
yeah.
that transition go in terms of the friends, in terms of the people, in terms of the fan base?
Um, it was funny. It was funny because I was still at this time. Obviously, this is a very personal journey, so people didn't really know it on a wider level. So certain people that was booking me for events and stuff, you know, continued to book me for a couple more shows. I would just go there and just preach the gospel in the music. There was not one song that I did that was not the gospel, you know what I'm saying? So, and these are like kind of Aggie venues. Everybody's real drunk. Everyone's getting, you know, kind of moody. Like Birmingham can be kind of moody as well. So it's kind of one of them kind of vibes. But I would
Yeah,
just go there, as you say, again, just unapologetic, unashamed, just preach. And yeah, and you know, I can't say it was like responded to in a great way. You know, those people definitely stopped booking me for a time. A few of them actually did come back around and start asking again after a while.
yeah,
But for me, it wasn't important. No, it wasn't important because I just put it in God's hands. I just thought if there's one person in this venue that needed to hear this message, then I did what I came to do. Because the other thing that changed for me, I had a lot of ego in the music when I was in the secular scene. You know, I always wanted to be the best. If I had a track with other people, I would want to be the best on the track. If I was at a venue, I'd want to be the best performer.
hmm
So much ego and pride in it. And that has just been completely stripped away from it now. Like I don't care about any of that stuff. Um, I just I don't really want people to remember me as a rapper, you know. I just want them to remember what I was rapping about. That's it.
yeah. That's an awesome quote right there, man. Say that one more time.
I don't want them to remember me as a rapper. I just want them to remember what I'm rapping about, which is
Yeah,
Christ.
that's awesome, man. 100%. And then in one of your tracks as well, you say, I'm not Catholic, Baptist, or Pentecostal. What triggered that bar?
Because yes, I say like I'm not Catholic, Baptist, or Pentecostal. I'm just a guy to represent the gospel, something like that. But the
Yeah.
reason why I took that is because um, I think people associate faith in Christ with the church, and obviously that makes sense. You know, we are the church, as in we are
Yeah.
the body of Christ and stuff. But there's so many denominations. There's so many slightly different interpretations of one scripture that will lead to something being labeled a completely different religion. And sometimes that's justified because, you know, a little thing like that can actually have big repercussions in terms of what you're actually saying and what you're teaching people. But I just choose not to get involved in denominations, what kind of church you're at. I don't care, you know, I don't care what kind of church you're at. If you believe that Jesus rose from the dead physically, you know what I'm saying, then we're on pretty much the same page, you know. But I do kind of want to, no disrespect to any Catholics, but I wouldn't want to be associated as a Catholic because I feel like certain traditions that they have in their church are not really biblical, so yeah. But again, it's just not about denominations. If I never set foot in a church, I do go to church and stuff like that, but if I never set foot in a church, that would not change my faith, you know what I mean? And I don't feel like people need to do that to have faith. So
Yeah. So it's funny you saying that. Like, I don't want to put it on you to put you on the spot, so I'll say it myself. I'd say it's only in the last probably like 2 months or so where I felt like Catholics aren't Christian in the context of the belief system doesn't necessarily compute with the gospel that we're given.
it doesn't.
Do you want to speak on it?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say a few things. Like, obviously, first of all, if we're going to be praying to the dead, then that's like necromancy. You know what I'm saying? And there's no reason for us to be praying to Mary. You know what I'm saying? Mary was a blessed woman to, bear Jesus as a baby, but she's not divine in any other respects. She's not someone for us to pray to. Jesus said, "See to it that you call no man father, because you have one Father in heaven." But they go to their priest and call him Holy Father, which I feel leads to blasphemy. They go to their priest for forgiveness of sin. Where's that in the Bible? This man's going to tell me I'm forgiven if I say 10 Hail Marys or something. Like, nah, that's not biblical. Like this, like kind of purgatory thing, like Christ's sacrifice didn't cover everything already. Like, if you've accepted Christ, then you're forgiven. You're not going to need to, you're not going to the next life with anything weighing you down in that regard if you've truly repented. There's just a lot of things that I think is really just their traditions. They have like I only found it out recently, but they actually have like extra books in their Bible that are just not the true word of God. There's something, I'm sure there's something in one of these books about like paying money so that to secure somebody's salvation after they had died or something like that. Like, it's just like it's not from the Bible. You know what I mean? You read the Bible, where does it tell you to call this man Holy Father and go to him for forgiveness of, and pray to Mary and use the rosary beads and all that kind of stuff? Like, it's just not. It's traditions of man. You know what I'm saying? And I think I'm not putting this on every Catholic church, but obviously throughout history there's been a lot of abuse that takes place, and I feel like people like really associate that. Like, they hear someone believes in Christ and they associate it with all these shady things that have gone on in certain churches, and I feel like, no, man, that's like, it's just not what it's about.
Yeah, and I think, like you said in the middle there, the deal breaker for me was any theology that says Christ dying on the cross isn't enough to make you right with God, isn't Christian to me anymore.
Yeah,
is what it is, man. So what can we expect from you, man? Next 6 months, next year, what can we expect from Kapes A.Witness?
You can expect me to be a lot more active in terms of, just putting stuff out. Like I said earlier, I'm done with waiting for the right time. I'm done with waiting for everything to be finished and polished. I'm just like, if I write a verse that I feel urgency to put it out, then I'm just going to put it out. Like, it might not be the best quality. You can wait a little longer if you want it in the best quality, and it will come out as an album or an official video. But yeah, I'm just not wasting any time. So, if you subscribe to the YouTube channel or follow my Instagram, then you will definitely see a lot of content from me. But for now, we've got the Sunlight album that I would love people to check out. I'd love people to check out the Shroud of Turin music video that I told people about, and share that with your non-believer friends, you know what I'm saying? And tracks like Big Questions from the Sunlight album, share that with those people that have these difficult questions, So yeah, that's it. I'm just gonna keep pushing for the kingdom any chance I get.
Quality, man. And I'm trying to ask everyone I speak to nowadays, what can we pray for about your life, about your ministry? What can people out there pray for that hear this, man?
I would like people to pray that God's will is done with it. I don't want to be caught up in being concerned about popularity or any of that. I just want what God intended for this music. I just want that to happen. So all I would ask people to pray for is that God's will be done with the music. Yeah, that's it really.
Amen, bro. Yeah, so man, thanks for coming on. Thanks for coming on, bro. It's been a blessing to. We haven't got to have this long conversation ever, have we? Yeah, so it's a blessing from numerous angles, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. I'm very, very happy to be a part of it. I really am. I really am.
That's cool, man. Yo, so you've been watching the Unity sessions. We've been here kicking it with Kapes, A.Witness. Stay locked, stay tuned. Go check out the Sunlight album. Go sub. You'll see all of his details below and everything else. Till next time, stay blessed, guys. Take care.